everybody, and welcome to a special live edition of Bucs Bounty here on Trade Deadline Day. Michael McKenry joins me. My name is Stephen Brault. We're going to have Kevin Young. We're going to have Jonathan Mayo from MLB Pipeline joining us to talk about these trades that the Pirates have made already and trades that we may see here in the next half hour. We got a half hour till the deadline is up. So after that, who knows? Some trades still trickle in though, Michael. But it's been an eventful day around Major League Baseball already today, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been wild to think it's on a Thursday. I think that's the most wild thing about it because most teams aren't playing, right? Did you see the quote where Cashman goes, "If there's a rain delay, does that push back the deadline?" Like, no, moron, it doesn't. You get what you get. You've had plenty of time. Go figure it out. You just took our closer. You know what I mean? Like, calm down, sir.
It's weird because I remember playing on the deadline pretty much every year, right? I mean, what were we always playing?
Yeah,
This
always.
is the first. There's only 3 games going on today. That's it. And that seems kind of is it advantageous to teams that are not playing? Is it harder for teams that are playing? I don't know. It seems like the Yankees are doing a ton of deals, and obviously they played a game at 1:00 today. So it's I don't know, man. But what do you think so far? For the Pirates, let's just start there. We've made 4 total trades. We're going to go through these by ourselves. We're going to go through them with our other analysts that are going to join us as well. But let's just go through these. Look, Adam Frazier for Cam Devaney. You got BryanHayes. That was the first really big surprising one. To the Reds for Taylor Rogers, a veteran reliever, and Sammy Stafura, a young shortstop who's very, very fast. And then you traded Caleb Ferguson to the Mariners for Jeter Martinez, a starting pitcher that hasn't had a lot of success this season. And then David Bednar, the big trade so far for Rafael Flores to the Yankees, and also Edglin Perez and Brian Sanchez. Both Rafael Flores and Edglin Sanchez, catcher/first baseman type guys. Michael, do you think they're done? Do you think there's more coming? Yeah. What do you got?
Well, first off, do you think this is like the GM Super Bowl? You know what I mean? Like
It's
down to the wire. Like I think about Jerry Maguire. Like, show me the money, show me the prospects. I bet these guys get so fired up. What do you want me to start with? Them being done or how the trades have gone so far?
Let's start with how the trades have gone so far. Just your overarching, reaction on today, right? It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen because we don't know what's going to happen with these players, but gut reaction today. What have you felt so far?
I know both of us love Adam Frazier. I've been watching that kid from afar. He's making great plays at shortstop. This is Devaney, I believe you say it, from Kansas City. He's got a roadblock. I love when organizations give guys opportunities, right? They gave up a really good player. He's hitting in a very hitter-friendly place in Omaha. The ball absolutely flies. So maybe the power numbers aren't as real as they seem. But since he's been in Indianapolis, he's hit over 300. He's got a home run. But it's the defense that has stood out to me. The arm strength, the ability to move around, just the baseball IQ in general. So he's got me kind of excited. Like I said, I hated to lose Frazier. But that's just kind of like one of those deals. It's like, Kansas City has some familiarity with Frazier. They know what he can do off the bench.
Yeah.
You know what type of human being he is. He makes every clubhouse better. So they're like, yeah, you can have him. We have a pretty good shortstop. We probably won't be replacing him very soon. So, yeah, I like that one. Anytime you can get guys that will not probably be back next year or could possibly sign back because they're going to be free agents, I say you trade them. Bryan, I think that one's going to hurt the more I've thought about it. I really do. I was listening to the press conference with the Reds GM, the Reds owner, and Terry Francona, and they have high expectations for him, but it seems like no pressure, because they want him to come in and be an elite defender. And they're like, the bat's going to play. It's a better ballpark. It's a better lineup. They said all the right things. So it terrifies the crap out of me that they're in our division. And we're going to have to face Bryan. And two, sometimes just that new uniform, right? So I'll stop there because I want to hear your side on those two because both those dudes were your teammates. So that's a little bit different animal for me.
It is a little bit of a different animal. Frazier is one of two guys so far that's returned to a team that they already played with. Eugenio
which is so
Suarez also went
cool.
back to the Mariners. I know it's a really cool idea that the team likes that player enough to bring them back. And both of
Yeah.
those are rentals, right? They're only signed through this season. So it's just like, hey, we know this guy, we know what he can do for us. And so maybe it's not the craziest move in the world, but it ends up being something that you're comfortable with. And I can really appreciate that. I do. I am bummed, obviously, seeing Frazier leave because
Yeah.
I personally really like Adam Frazier and we're friends. But I think that's good trade for both teams. I think that benefits both teams a lot. If the Royals end up making a run for it, Adam Frazier could be one of those guys that fills in and has a larger than you would expect role on that team, or he'll just be a solid bench guy that they can use when they need him. And then on our side, Cam Devaney is for me a very interesting power hitting shortstop. I like who doesn't like a power hitting shortstop, bigger guy who
Right.
is going to hopefully be able to, hit some bombs. And it's going to be hard in PNC, of course. Everybody knows that it's hard to hit home runs in PNC Park. But like you said, the production has been there in his short stint in AAA so far. So you got to feel good about that trade because if you don't trade Adam Frazier at the end of the season, you just lose him and then you don't get anything for that. So I like that trade. BryanHayes, that one is a little bit different for me because I truly think that you had something so special defensively that it can hurt when you lose that. That can be a bigger deal than you kind of give it
Yeah.
credit for because he's so elite, like the very top of baseball. And anytime you have somebody that has a tool that's at the very top of baseball, it's hard to really say that you should get rid of it when there's a possibility of the bat coming back because we have seen it before. Like he was good offensively when he first came up. So that part, it's a bummer for me once again to see BryanHayes go. I was hoping he was going to be, the long-term third baseman solution for the Pirates, and he was for a while. But they want more offense. They want to see what they can do, and the Pirates also you have to realize this is going to be an offseason where you're going to have to add to the offense, and a way to do that is to trade guys away that you're going to be paying, and then you get some of that money back, obviously. Taylor Rogers and Sammy Stafura back in that trade. Not two guys I'm not totally psyched about. Taylor Rogers, relief pitcher, that, we'll see what happens with him today.
I think he's
And
got
then
about
Sammy Stafura.
23 minutes left being a Bucko. That's just my
Exactly. That's
guess.
kind of how it feels. Yeah. And then Sammy Stafura, he's a speedy guy. You like that speedy shortstop who's had pretty good numbers. So another guy that maybe you'll get some upside there. That would be really nice. But I think that trade kind of depends on what happens with Taylor Rogers, right? To see how that trade actually went. Let's move on then. Let's go to the Caleb
And
Ferguson
and real
for
quick
Jeter
on
Martinez.
on Key
Yeah.
Bryan, you're talking about 7 million owed this year, right? We took on Taylor
Right.
Rogers 10 million, so we kind of washed that out. So if we do trade him, we do save some money this year. 36 million over till 2030, and then if they pick up the option, it's 42 million. That is a good player if you pick him up. And I
Yeah.
was thinking about the one benefit we have is we have a Gold Glover that plays third base, and he's got
It's true.
a weak bat, but we've seen him hit double-digit home runs in multiple seasons. Maybe he can get going. We saw when Key Bryan got hurt last year, Triolo, he went off, right? Because I feel like sometimes you don't have that little thing barking behind you, like, I'm right here, I'm going to be healthy. So, I do like the trade for both sides. I think Key needed a new identity, new jersey, new city. I think it's going to be good for him. I just hope it's not really bad for us if he goes off, because there's a chance he can. There's something to be said when somebody wants you. And I know at times he felt unwanted here because it is tough playing for a team that's not winning,
Yeah.
right? And he feels like he's putting his body on the line. But when you said elite defender, I looked it up while you were talking, 15 outs above average. He's 10 outs above average from the guy that won the Gold Glove last year.
It's
Yikes.
crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy how good he is.
Yeah, and
So
so that part you're not going to get that. That's just
no, you're not.
that is
He's
literally
one
he's
of
the best
one.
third baseman in baseball. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not going to find that anywhere else. So you have to realize you're giving that up in order to try to find offense from that position, because you're not going to get the same defense. So there has to be some kind of give and take there, right? So you think it'd be giving defense in order to receive from some offense. We haven't seen that yet because, like you said, Triolo's probably the replacement for now unless something changes, and Triolo hasn't hit for a little while. So if he can get going, that would be great. But that's still going to be a position that the Pirates are going to consider, open going into the offseason,
I
of
got a
course.
really good idea
Unless
if you want to go that direction.
I think I know what your idea is because I believe we
Yeah.
talked about it. But please
Okay.
enlighten us.
Well, you got Tamar on the reins, right? And we have Nick York, who is comfortable at second base. I think Nicky G would be a phenomenal third baseman. Phenomenal. That is,
I
if he doesn't
agree.
take over shortstop for a little bit. But I think third base could be really, really good. Now you think about the offense there, and I think defensive value would be pretty high. So I think it'd be interesting to see kind of what they do. They have a lot of middle infielders that can move to the corner. It's just, is the hit tool or hit value going to be high enough to complement that entire infield? Because like you were talking about yesterday on the post game, the reality of it is we can get a lot of production from second base if Nicky G's there that most teams can't. So we can
Right.
maybe take a little bit less at third or first, but if you can get both going, watch out. Just saying.
Watch out. And then, of course, Caleb Ferguson for Jeter Martinez. That trade, that's kind of just Jeter Martinez, somebody, young pitcher, you hope maybe have some upside
Yeah,
eventually. And then the big trade,
he's a
David
nut.
Bednar, yeah, for Rafael Flores, Edwin Perez, and Brian Sanchez. This one is, this one's hard for me because David Bednar is once again ex-teammate of mine who I thought, I think that we value him at this extremely high level, which is fair because we see him pitch all the time, and he's been so good the last, since May 23rd. We hadn't given up a run since May 23rd, and then he finally gave one up that last outing. But man, he is so special to the city of Pittsburgh. So that's why for me it's hard to see him go just in general. But then when you see the return, it feels like less than we were hoping you would get in that return. Would you agree with that from when you just gut reaction look at it?
Yes, yes, very much so. Very, very, very much so. I mean, obviously, one guy's going to be able to impact the big leagues pretty quickly. The other two are probably years away. But I think this one hits deeper for me, just like you, is because we know Bednar so well. I mean, you're talking about
Yeah.
22, 23, and 24. He was our Clemente Award nominee, and he won it once. And he's super, super active in the city, in the community. He's from here. And I think the one thing that keeps popping in my mind is the buy-in and the loyalty of being a Bucko. I mean, it's hard to get free agents to come here, right? There's been a lot of reasons for that. But when you trade a guy that's from here, that loves it here, that wants to be here, that would take a discount to be here, what's that saying to all the free agents? What's that saying to the people that are here that could possibly sign here? And that's all the things that in due time, winning can probably cure all of it. But at the end of the day, that's something that you have to think about now. Because it is a concern. We talked about it. Keller Bednar are concerned. Do you lose the clubhouse? Are there things that go on, behind the scenes that we cannot understand? Because I will never forget when they traded Hader in Milwaukee and that thing just fell off. Obviously, we're not fighting for anything, but we are fighting for next year because we do have a pitching staff that's phenomenal. We do have, probably somebody step into Bednar's role. So it's not the baseball side I'm concerned about. It's the human being side that is going to be very quick at first to see, but can it kind of fade away or sift into the right thing just because we're winning? But you can't replace Bednar.
You can't replace Bednar. I agree. All right, we're going to go to break here on Bucs Bounty. When we come back, we're going to be talking about opportunities opened up. We'll continue talking about these trades, and we'll keep you up to date on what trades the Pirates are making here as we get close to the deadline in 15 minutes. So we'll see you when we get back in a few here on Bucs Bounty.
As we go forward, everybody wants to know the warm-up routine. We talk about it all the time.
It changes game to game in terms of reps and the actual drill work that we do, and that changes based on where my body is and what I need to do.
We see you and Henry Davis a lot in the dugout and other places talking about game plan, and he has kind of evolved into your personal catcher. What is it about Henry that you guys kind of click really well with?
Yeah, I mean, he does a great job game planning. One of the most prepared players I've ever seen. Really just what he's seeing, what I'm seeing, and how we think my stuff's going to play against him.
You're just a couple of years removed from being a catcher yourself. Does that give you any advantage in communicating with Henry or whoever's catching for you?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't ever throw a pitch that I'm not fully convicted in, but there are times when Henry calls a pitch that I'm like, I wasn't thinking that. My experience as a catcher affects that because he must see something that I don't. I've seen the game from the other side of it, so I trust the work that he does.
Catch the next Bucs BP show presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. No one destroys a baseball like Oneil Cruz.
That is the hardest hit ball in known Major League history.
Pitchers should consider themselves warned.
And it is gone! There's a Cruz missile!
Log in with your cable provider and stream the Pirates all season long on SNP 360.
Welcome back to Bucs Bounty. It is trade deadline day, so we're doing this special live edition. We are live as I move my hands, and Michael, does whatever he's doing, gives the jazz hands. I like that. There's been some big trades all around baseball. Obviously, we're seeing some crazy stuff. The Padres are going nuts, as AJ
you
Preller
love it.
is bound to do. It's crazy, man. I got my text thread with all my buddies from San Diego is just it will not stop going. But that's big moves, huge moves. Trading 6 players in the minor leagues for Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. But hey, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Let's get back in on this David Bednar thing because I'm not done talking about it.
Yes.
I think that when it comes to David Bednar, the closer, we have to be honest with the fact that he has been really, really good recently. But last year he was not. And so a lot of teams are going to, they're going to value him less than a guy like Johan Duran or Mason Miller. Mason Miller, obviously, it's because he's so young. I also think the Padres are probably going to turn him into a starting pitcher, which is why they wanted him so bad. But I think so. But when it comes to a guy like Johan Duran, you know what you're getting. The guy throws 103 miles an hour. He throws a splitter at 98, 99. It's like this crazy special arm that you're getting away from the Twins. Bednar is a good closer. He's a really good closer. But if a team is looking at what has happened recently, yes, they're going to love that he's been on this great run, and you're hoping that run will continue for the rest of the season, of course. But they're going to also be looking at the beginning of the season and him going to AAA and last season. And so I think that can end up taking the value down from what we would expect it to be because we're zoned in on what he's doing right now. But I don't know if other teams are going to negotiate that way. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like trades are like arbitration, right? They want you so bad, but at the same time, they're going to wear you out. You know what I mean? They're going to wear out a team and say, oh, yeah, well, he struggled last year. He wasn't really a closer. He wasn't an all-star, blah, blah, blah. And the reality of it is they just want to bring down the value so they don't have to give up as much. And I just hope the best for Bednar. We saw last year a lot of things unfold. We saw Chapman get signed and no contact, no communication to David Bednar. Did he lose his job? Is he still the closer? You bring in one of the best closers over the last couple decades, a superhuman of sorts. And then a lat issue. Now he can't get extension. Then he was tipping pitches. There's a lot that goes into last year. Kind of redoes everything in the offseason. New curveball, better split. And then in spring, he kind of fell back into the mindset of, oh no, I got to get outs really fast and right now, when really just need to slow the game down and make his pitches and execute. And he did that when he went to AAA. And you're right, he's been phenomenal since. So yeah, what we've seen over the last 24 outings has been nothing short but spectacular. And I think the Pirates are selling on that, but a lot of the teams are calling and saying, he's good, but he's not as good as you think he is. And I think once they understand the human being, what he's going to do in the community, what type of clubhouse guy, they'll see that they got a slam dunk. And I always hope in every trade, as part of 3 of them, 4 of them, something like that, the reality of it is you want them both to hit, right? You want both teams to win, except you never want the Reds or St. Louis or the Brewers to win, but we always want everybody else to win. So I hope the best for him. I hope he wins a ring, and maybe one day comes back to Pittsburgh and, closes the door.
We have breaking news. This is why
yes,
we're doing
we
this show
do.
live. Pirates have traded Bailey Falter to the Royals. They're getting back left-handed pitcher Evan Fisk and first baseman Callan Moss, another first baseman. After getting Spencer
say those
Horwitz
names
in the
again.
offseason, Evan Fisk and Callan Moss.
Ooh, a Fisk and a Moss?
A Fisk and a Moss. So so we saw the Pirates go sign Horwitz in the offseason, a trade for Horwitz with Luis Ortiz. You have Henry Davis, who's your 1-1 catcher, who is not performing as well as you'd like. But he is defensively, all of a sudden he's great. That's really fun to deal with. But then you get Rafael Flores, catcher, first baseman. And then you get Eglin Perez also in that trade. He's another catcher and first baseman. And now you get another first baseman in Callan Moss. Very interesting to see the Pirates clearly trying to go for something specific here at the corners and behind the plate, Michael.
Yeah, I think if you're going to build a team, you build it up the middle. But we have a very strong middle when it comes to the prospects. You think about the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, and Connor Griffin. You have Tamar. You have a lot of guys up the middle. Now, if you can, anytime in my mind, if you can get a good arm, a quality arm, especially one that's durable and that seems to be reliable and consistent, you can't miss there. A hitting catcher now is almost non-existent. So being able to find someone that can hit, receive, call a good game, throw, block, do all the little things is really special. Then you think, like, we still have Indy too, right? So you have all these guys that you're going to be able to say, who do we want to pick? Who is our guy now? And then stack underneath. And then my hope is trade the guys you don't need or don't want, because the biggest problem is stacking all these assets and not using them to trade to get maybe what you need right now, because the benefit, I guess, of getting all these prospects and not getting emotionally attached to them, not allowing them to perform too much in our system, is you can flip them really quickly. We've seen other teams do that. The Cubs did an incredible job in the offseason, not really doing anything big in free agency, but making huge moves in the trade market because they had the assets to do that with. And that's kind of what I hope their plan is, right? Is use what they've got coming in, right? We have a good system. Maybe it'll become a great system by the end of this trade deadline, and then utilize it to go get what they're looking for. Go decide the identity you want to create, whether it's pitching, defense, and we're going to have, speedball, no striking out, be just absolute pest, almost like the Diamondbacks of sort or the Brewers of sort. And then, or maybe it's the Powerball. I don't know what they're going to try to do, but they need to use these assets for that. I mean, that's how you, I guess, grow a small market team. We watch Tampa Bay do it all the time. And then also double down on what you're really good at developing. What are you really good at developing? Pitching, right? So you can trade from that, from the lower levels, and say, hey, we've already kind of done this. Here you go. We just did it with Bailey Falter, and we trade him. I mean, when he came over, he was a swing guy. Now he's a guy that's a staple in a very, very good rotation. So I think we have a chance to do a lot of good things if we flip our assets.
Yeah, so Evan Sisk, actually, with an S, not an F. Evan Sisk, pitcher, left-handed pitcher. Listen to this. So he just made his debut. He's only thrown 5 1/3 innings in the big leagues. He's given up 1 run and he struck out 11 guys, but he's also walked 5. So that's
Wait, how many
he's
innings?
got some nasty stuff. In 5 1/3 innings, he's got 11 strikeouts. This is in the big leagues this year. He made his debut. this year. He's got 11 punch outs, lefty reliever. Every outing has been, very short. But in AAA this year, 28 and 2/3 with 36 strikeouts. So strikeouts are a plenty with Evan Sisk. You got to love a lefty that punches tickets.
I
I kind of
love a
like
lefty
that
that
move,
punches
right?
tickets.
If
Yeah.
trading Falter away, who's been really good for the Pirates, man. I
Mhm.
feel like we have not given him enough credit for what he ended up building into by the time now he is leaving the Pirates. He revitalized his career from the Phillies. He was,
Yeah.
he was a swing guy there, relief, starting, kind of like what I did at the beginning of my career. And then he got to this point where he's established himself as a major league starter on a team that had some openings. And for the last 2 years, he's been really consistent. He gets the opportunity to go to the Royals. Different kind of, actually, I would say kind of a similar vibe when it comes to the team, the city, that kind of thing. More of a blue
And
collar
he's
feel.
got the
So not a
perfect
huge
ballpark too,
change.
right?
Yeah, got the
Perfect
big
ballpark
old
for him.
ballpark.
Yeah.
Fly ball pitcher. That's a
hmm
good point. That's a really good point. I like Sisk. I still haven't looked up Callan Moss. If you want to get on that, give me some Callan Moss info. Why don't you look that up while I talk about this? So as So we're gonna I'm just gonna throw this out there too. More breaking news, not surprising here. Taylor Rogers has also been traded, and it does seem like the Pirates. This has got to be the most active deadline that we've seen in recent times. But Taylor
Yes.
Rogers reported also traded. It just won't stop here. What do you think
Oh, the
about?
Reds got
What do you think
Andujar.
about
Oh no.
Andujar? Yeah,
Sorry.
I saw that.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say with Taylor Rogers, that's exactly what we were hoping would happen, or see what would happen, see what the return is going to be for Taylor Rogers. But he was a Pirate for what, 23 hours or something like that.
Do you think he
I hope
gets
he
a
does one of those
jersey?
posts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
I hope
you.
he does.
Thank you for my time in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. You've been wonderful to me.
the
Yeah,
city.
that'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
I love when guys do that when they just immediate pick up and oh man, the Red Sox are gonna get Dustin May. Okay, so as we go through this today, we're going to be talking with Jonathan Mayo from MLB Pipeline. We're going to be talking with Kevin Young, SportsNet Pittsburgh, and Pirates color commentator and analyst. We've got a lot of good stuff coming your way. There's going to be a lot of catching up by all of us as we're going through this because we are doing this live just like you. And it's fun, man. Trade deadline is a crazy time, but last year ended up being pretty quiet for the Pirates. This year, it looks like it is going to be a big, busy deadline. We got 3 minutes left till the deadline, technically, but some trades are not finalized until afterwards. So there's still usually some changing hands in that next 15, 20 or so minutes after the trade deadline. We're going to go right up to it. So now we've got 2 more trades, a total of 6 so far for the Pirates. Adam Frazier to the Royals, BryanHayes to the Reds, Caleb Ferguson to the Mariners, David Bednar to the Yankees, and now you've got Bailey Falter to the Royals. And I have Cubs, Taylor Rogers to the Cubs,
Ooh.
a big acquisition for the Cubs. But a lot of guys that the Cubs could get back, or the Pirates could get back from the Cubs in return. They've got a pretty good top echelon of their minor league system. Taylor Rogers is a very good left-handed reliever, so he'll definitely get somebody back. I'm curious to see what that return is going to be. So far, the return's been younger than I think we thought, right, Michael? We thought we were going to get some guys that were a little bit closer to the big leagues, or guys like Evan Sisk, I think, is a really good example. Somebody who just got to the big leagues and has already shown he can be successful. Hopefully, if there's a few more trades here, maybe guys that that high AAA guys ready to perform in the big leagues, right? That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, or like I said, if they're gonna go young and try to get the best prospect available, flipping them in the offseason seems like a genuine thing to do, especially if you're trying to upgrade the upper tiers. Because, like I said, there's 1,000 ways to do it. Ben Sherrington kind of showed his hand, I think, in his last interview with us, saying that like if we're gonna win, or a team of our caliber is going to win with the payroll we have to get creative in the trades. We have to get creative with a lot of different things. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Just go out, get as much as humanly possible, because the last couple of trade deadlines, I mean, your first trade deadline was last year as a announcer, right? And it was kind of quiet. We couldn't believe Chapman was still here. We're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Now it's starting to see like what it can be, and hopefully they use it. And I got some numbers on Moss. It looks like he's a hit first guy, got a good hit tool. His career's 281, 391 on base percentage, a career 814 OPS. He is in high A. He's in the California League, which is the moon of sorts when you talk about hitting. Not a lot of power, 7 homers this year, but 70 RBIs. So he's driving in runs, bunch of hits. Looks like he's hitting a bunch of doubles. Looks like he got a little bit of speed because he got 3 triples, but doesn't strike out a lot. 87 strikeouts to 53 walks. So there's some things there, especially if you're a young player. He's 22. It looks like it looks good. It looks promising. I don't know if he's going to stay at first base or what he is exactly, but he's at that A plus. Hopefully he goes to Greensboro, and that's a launching pad, so that could get him going too. And we'll see where it goes.
All right, well, ding, ding, ding. It's 6 o'clock. The trade deadline is officially upon us. We're going to go to break here on Bucs Bounty. When we come back, we'll talk about what trades ended up happening. We'll see if a few more happen in the next few minutes. We'll talk about some openings that the Pirates now have when we come back here on Bucs Bounty on SportsNet Pittsburgh.
When the Pirates drafted Dave Parker in 1970, they were getting an all-around athlete who also starred in basketball and football, but an ankle injury would decide which path he would take.
Well, I got my knee tore up my senior year, so that kind of altered my football career. And baseball was basically my second love, and I just went to baseball. It didn't make any difference who drafted me. I just wanted to get an opportunity to play, but I have a great allegiance to the Pirates for giving me that opportunity. When the Pirates extended themselves to sign me, I was very appreciative. When I first came to rookie camp, it was about 500 guys there. We would run around the field and almost lap the field with the guys. I finally looked at all the talent around and said, well, I'm sticking out like a sore thumb, so I knew that I could compete at that level.
Not only could he compete, but he dominated the minor leagues with a mix of speed and power. Even Roberto Clemente took note, sharing his baseball knowledge with the phenom.
I had a strong arm, but I was short-arming because I signed as a catcher. I would catch the ball and short-arming in. And Roberto taught me how to reach back and put about 10 more miles an hour on my ball. And after he taught me that, it was just a matter of getting the technique down and letting the strength of my arm to speak for itself. One of my biggest thrills was to play outfield with Roberto. He would always say, oh, you got a great arm, your arm better than mine. I'm like, yeah, right, you know. And the first time I tried it, and after about 3 throws, it's like, whew, you know, because I had a cannon too, you know. So he looked out for me.
Hi again. Welcome back to Bucs Bounty. The trade deadline has passed us by. Michael McKenry, Stephen Brault, we are with you here today as we go through this live. Watching us on YouTube or on SNP, wherever you guys get your media, please follow, like, subscribe. We have a lot of fun doing these podcasts. Today is no exception. Special live edition here of Bucs Bounty. And it's been a wild trade deadline. A lot of stuff going on. The return for Taylor Rogers, who was just picked up yesterday by the Pirates and then traded today, is Ivan Brethauer. There's an R at the end of that. It looks like it would be Bretho, but there's an R. So I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. We'll figure that out, though. Want to make sure we do the guy right. But Ivan is he was with the Cubs. He was drafted by the Cubs in the 7th round of 2024 last year. He went to Santa Barbara. He is an outfielder. He's played every position in the outfield here in professional baseball. This year he's in High A South Bend. He's played 83 games in High A after moving up from Low A. Not too much success at the plate right now. 221 batting average, 710 OPS. But once again, a guy that you're hoping is young, controllable. You know, when you're starting, when you acquire a guy like this, you have to figure out what do the Pirates see in him that they're hoping will eventually end up being special about this player. I will have to do more research to figure that out. But another big move for the Pirates, Bailey Falter just traded to the Royals as well. That was for Evan Sisk and Callan Moss, the catcher. Michael, it just doesn't stop. We'll see here at the end if any more trades are made. We are still thinking, the older guys who are this is their last, season. IKF, Tommy Pham, Andrew Heaney, for example. Those are probably the last three guys we could see going here right at the deadline. But it's been a busy day for the Pirates so far.
It has, and it's going to be interesting as it trickles in. Did they get all those guys out somewhere? We got Ben Sherrington and three other assistant GMs probably still on the phone finalizing contracts, deals, whatever have you. It's wild. I can only imagine. I'd love to be a part of it sometime. I feel like I would cause more chaos in the room, but it would be fun. It would be fun. Yeah. Now, listen, I'll throw in a couple Twinkies, okay? A couple Twinkies, just take it. Right?
It'd be fun for you at least. I don't know if you for everybody else.
Yeah, like think about if you could do it and not lose. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you can do whatever you want. Okay.
All right.
Listen, you can have a couple bleacher seats. All right.
Yeah. Let's see if anything else comes as the trade deadline goes. But for now, let's talk about some openings that the Pirates have opened up on their roster now, and who we might be seeing replacing or taking those spots, because we officially now, even though we thought we would have at least one. Now that we have Bailey Falter gone, that opens up a spot in the starting rotation. We got two guys coming back right now that the question is, who is going to get that spot to start? Is it going to be Bubba Chandler, who's had a really good July after having a very poor June? Looks like he's back to himself now. Or is it Johan Oviedo, who threw 5 innings in AAA? He's coming back from injury, and he's pretty much ready to take that spot. Michael, we got a 50-50 chance here. What do you think is going to happen? Where's this spot filled?
Well, in the hopes that Heaney gets a chance to go somewhere, they both are filled. They both come up. But I think it'll be Oviedo and the Bubba right behind him. Oviedo's obviously ready. He's thrown 5 innings. Only gave up 2 hits last time. One was a home run. He looks like old Oviedo, throwing 95 to 97. He's got a ton of life on the fastball. Sliders playing, curveballs playing. So I can't wait to get that dude back. He has a presence about him. Him and Skeens, just walking into a room is terrifying. And Oviedo is well bigger than Skeens, about 4.5 inches and about 35 pounds. So it's going to be really cool to see, our staff, right, not only throwing 100, all the way down the line, but also they're terrifying to look at. So it's going to be really cool. And he's very different. I think Oviedo is very different, and so is Bubba. So adding either of those guys, it throws a different wrinkle because they have a different repertoire. So we're going to have a good mix and a kind of a weird look for any team in a 3-game set, because they're going to see obviously all righties if Heaney gets traded. But the reality of it is it's all different righties, and that's not easy. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. What do you think?
It seems like as we go forward, I think Johan Oviedo's looking to me like maybe we'll see him kind of do that Luis Ortiz thing where he starts in the bullpen and then build him up possibly to be a starter, to give him maybe a few starts at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I would also wouldn't be surprised to see the Pirates go to a 6-man rotation, because that would kind of cure a lot of problems with not wanting Skeens to throw too many innings this season. Yeah, I think at this point, if you can take away a start or two for Skeens by putting him on a 6-man rotation, and he's still going to win the Cy Young because he's just that good and his stats are that much better than everybody else's. But it's an interesting question here when you've got this 2 guys who you're hoping are going to be big time guys for this pitching staff immediately when they come up. Everybody talks about what the Pirates rotation is going to be when Bubba Chandler comes up and Jared Jones comes back next year. But you can't forget, now we still have Mitch Keller, which I'm super stoked about. I love that they kept him. Obviously, something could change, but from what we've seen, we've kept him. And then Bubba Chandler, and if Jared Jones comes back, Bubba Chandler's supposed to be your new number 3, or maybe even your number 2. And so that pushes Mitch Keller back to be a 4, which is amazing because he would be an incredible 4 in a rotation. And that kind of takes the pressure off of having to be an ace when he's not an ace, and that's fine. He's a great pitcher. And then if you could see a situation where Johan Oviedo would join that rotation as well and give everybody a slower end into the end of the season. You know what I mean? Give him a few extra days as the season goes on. I personally think that's the solution. Give them both a shot. Let's put them both in the rotation and see what happens.
I love it. Yeah, call them both up no matter what. I love it.
On the position player side, we got a third base hole, right? Now we got to figure out what we're going to do with that. We've seen Liover Peguero. Yeah, he's gotten to play the last 3 days. He played all 3 days against San Francisco. I think, to me, that's going to be the replacement. You either put Peguero at short every day now, and then you let Gonzalez stay at second. You find third, or do you move? I like moving Gonzalez to third, too. I've thought about that a lot. I think that would be a good move.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, IKF puts a wrinkle in it. Whether he's here, we'll find out very shortly or not. I know a lot of teams were after him. But, yeah, he'd be a great solution. But you want to find that kind of bridge, right, to get Connor Griffin here. So who's going to play shortstop is the question mark. I love Peguero getting the opportunity. I love the new kid that's in AAA that we got for the Frazier deal, getting an opportunity. So I think we have a plethora of options. And then, we have a Gold Glove utility guy in Triolo whenever we're ready to bring him back up. So, yeah, I think there's plenty of options to fill that. It's just kind of what are they looking for, right? You know, if they're looking for a bat first, maybe that's what they try. Maybe they tried a couple different things. Maybe we even see Nick York finally come up to the big leagues. Man can absolutely hit and get a chance, and maybe he plays a little third base. But I think it's going to be an open tryout in a way when it comes to positioning throughout the year. But at the same time, we have one of the best pitching staffs, so they're going to make sure that the defense behind them isn't giving in because you don't want to frustrate those guys not making plays and whatnot. So I think the communication's got to be very, very strong, and the understanding of where they're trying to go needs to be very, very strong, kind of up and down, so everybody's on the same page, because you really want to do a good job right now pulling these guys together, because you know what it's like when you start seeing lockers empty, you start seeing a lot of change, especially on the road. It's very weird, and you want to make sure that you pull everybody in. I'm sure they're going to have a team meeting tomorrow. Say, hey, we're trying to win now and moving forward. We're not waiting around. I know we lost some friends, but we're trying to win now. I think that should be the best message, and I think that'll fill the holes because the best man will kind of rise to the top.
The cream rises to the top, right?
Brother.
We're gonna take one more break here. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk with Jonathan Mayo from MLB Pipeline about the prospects that the Pirates have gotten back in return for the trades that they have made. We're gonna ask him questions about just who they are in general as players, but also how close they are to the big leagues and what kind of impact we can expect to see from them here soon. So we'll be back here on Bucs Bounty in just a few minutes. Stick with us, and we'll see you back here on Bucs Bounty.
Crushed it.
We have reloaded the cannon.
He struck him out.
W Must Watch TV.
O'Neal Cruz.
Is this real? Like, this guy is a video game.
Here comes Mr. Schemes.
What we saw today has never happened.
It doesn't really compute in my brain.
This one is gone.
I'm excited.
What a comeback for the Pirates. Holy smokes.
Prep work inside. That's your most important thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit of why?
Prep work is the most important thing. The first thing I do when I get in there, I pick up a thick grip handle, I put the tee very high, and I hit off it. If I can't do that, how do I expect to hit a ball that's dancing and moving at 90-plus miles an hour.
That thing called a tee?
If you can't hit that ball to the back of the net consistently, what makes you think you can control your barrel out here when someone's throwing it? That's the one thing I do every day consistently.
So that's the check mark.
That's it. I check that off. Because then I slowly push that guy back. I slowly push him back.
Distance and time.
Side flip. Then push him back a little further, then I push him back a little further, then I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. What are you thinking about in batting practice?
Barrel control. Once you have control of that, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You say I want to work to the opposite side of the field. If I have the control of the barrel, I can do that. Once I start feeling good, then when I decide it's time to launch a little bit, open up the body, then I'll do that towards the end.
Catch the next Bucs BP show presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh.
Welcome back to Bucs Bounty. Stephen Brault, Micah McKenry. You can watch us on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast. We talk about Pirates baseball, and we do a lot of research into this to make sure that we're giving you the best information that we can. Right now, a lot of information coming at us, so we're trying to catch up. At the same time that you as fans are trying to catch up, we're going to have Jonathan Mayo joining us here soon. But before we get to Mayo, Michael, in general, this deadline has received more negative media about it. But I think that there are parts of these trades that look more disappointing than they are. I think personally the most disappointing part is seeing trading for younger prospects more so than guys who are going to be on the big league team. I think, we were talking about trading guys to the Yankees and trying to get somebody like Jason Dominguez or even, Spencer Jones, who's there in AAA, somebody really, really close. But that's what they got in Rafael Flores. The difference is that he's expected more to be big league ready next year. And with this year, you've already got you got Davis and you got Bart. Neither of them really doing as well as you would have liked. Bart, unfortunately, the offense fell off this year than from what we saw last year. And Henry Davis, the offense hasn't come around yet, but the defense has come around. Pirates getting some catchers, Pirates getting some first basemen. It's been a very, very interesting trade deadline, Michael.
It's been incredibly interesting. And I think it's where do they go from here is the biggest question, because you only can get what you can get. I mean, I know that sounds funny, but it's so true. Like, teams are going to give you what they're willing to give you. And the longer you wait, you're stacked up against a lot of different teams. And you got to kind of try to figure out what fits us now and what is maybe something that we could flip later. And I think there's a mixture of what they did. And I really do believe the way that they went about it, whether they do this or not, I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense if they don't, in my mind. But they got to flip some of these guys, whether it's assets we already have in the system. But this is where you've oversaturated your system. You have a plethora of players, right? You can only have so many. So you're going to start releasing guys. Guys are going to come off the 40-man. Instead, if there's value there, you trade them. You try to continue to bolster what you want, and hopefully at the upper echelon of the minor leagues so they're ready to go into the big leagues. I think a lot of these guys are right in that AA range, and that's one of the weakest areas in our organization. So maybe they're trying to bridge that gap and get enough assets to either go out and get a bat this offseason. But you got to think they also cleared up a lot of money moving forward. So it's really what they do moving forward than right now for me. Because when it comes to trades, you take the best available prospect you're given, and a lot of these guys aren't coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Heaney, disappear, IKF, FAM. These guys, still could be on the chopping block and heading out. We don't know. A lot of things come in late. But that's the reality. Like, you just want to get whatever you can to move the organization forward.
Absolutely. So now joining us, Jonathan Mayo from MLB Pipeline. John, so good to have you here with us. It's been an interesting deadline, to say the very, very least, but it's good to see you. How are you doing, and how are you feeling about the trades?
You got to mime.
Got him muted.
You got to mime it.
Just pause. We'll start with this. If as we go forward, we figure this out. You want to try again, man? Let's see if we got this time.
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
And let there be a voice.
That's our fault.
That was not on
We
me.
hear you. No, not on
I
me.
thought you were playing a game with
okay,
this, Mayo.
so anyway.
No, I have no games.
How you doing? And how you feeling?
I have no feeling. I am numb.
Oh,
but
really?
yeah,
So
my head's spinning. Let's do
yeah.
this because I've got about 47 things to still do. So
I can
we
only
appreciate
imagine. Let's go over returns. Let's just go quick through it then. Let's start with the Bednar trade, the big one. Rafael Flores, the main return coming back. We've all read. I read what you wrote, I believe, either you or Callis, about Rafael Flores. AAA going to be a tough, big decider for him. Is that right?
Yeah, he sounds like he can swing the bat, and there's some raw power there. The defense is just okay. I know the Pirates scouts really like him. They think there's a lot of offensive upside, but I think they're buying the power potential in the bat more than anything else.
Power potential is something that the Pirates sorely lack right now, so I guess it makes sense. But it was an underwhelming return for what we would think we were going to get for David Bednar. Is that how you feel?
I would agree with that assessment. I thought the trades that they made yesterday the returns were much better, given what they were giving up and the desire to move certain people. I think people felt that BryanHayes needed a change of scenery. He certainly wasn't productive as a hitter here. We all know about the defense. And Caleb Ferguson was, a rental reliever, so getting anything of value. And I thought they got some pretty good return. I think that, yes, he would have liked to have seen more for someone of Bednar's caliber under control for, at such a fair price, especially given what the reliever market appeared to be. And I don't know if they just missed the window. Obviously we're not in the room. I have some understanding that when they were first talking to, say, the Phillies, before the Phillies made the trade for Joan Duran, they were asking for something close to what the Twins got for Joan Duran for David Bednar. And then they went and traded for Duran, which I get. I understand why you would want a Joan Duran, on your team, but I think that I don't know if they just, were asking and weren't getting the asking price, and then they just said, "Oh, we better just get something." I have no idea since we weren't part of that conversation, but I would have thought that it's not like they're renting David Bednar for 2 months. They're going to have him, and obviously the Yankees could re-sign him if they wanted to whatever. But I was a little surprised, and not in a good way, with that return. Yeah.
Was Painter in the mix in Philadelphia? I know a lot of teams were asking on him, and it seems like that's
there. You won't trade him.
Yeah,
the Phillies have the Philly guy who might have been completely off the market in their system. But because I think they have plans for him to pitch in Philadelphia before the year's over and maybe into the playoffs. That's been the plan all year.
Okay, so other guys that the Pirates got back in return, we're trying to figure out about these prospects. Let's start with Sammy Staffer coming back in that Hayes trade. More of a speed guy at shortstop, 20 years old. He's in low A. 9th ranked prospect with Cincinnati. He comes over. He's now the 7th ranked Pittsburgh prospect. How do you feel about him? What interests you about Sammy Staffer?
I like him. And if you guys get a chance to meet him, I haven't met him yet, but for everything I heard, he's a high energy player. He loves to play. He's a no doubt about it shortstop. So he can stick at the position. It's at least plus speed, might be more, especially as he continues to get a little stronger. He uses it on both sides of the ball very, very well. And there's some offensive upside. I think when you've got somebody that young, you don't know exactly what's going to come when. Power is often the last thing to come. I don't think he's ever going to be like a huge power guy, but he's not tiny. So I think he's going to grow into some more extra base authority, and he's just kind of figuring it out now. The surface numbers sort of seem, they're okay. But if you look under the hood a little bit more, it's pretty good. I think there are a lot of good things there. He can hit the ball hard, and he's got a good approach at the plate. So I think there are a lot of things to work with offensively for a guy who's going to play shortstop. So I would say he's got a really high floor because of the defense and the speed, and the ceiling will be determined by how much the bat comes around. And it's in there.
Let's go with some of the. Yeah, that's the thing is when it comes to trades, it's always hard. I mean, obviously, the shock factor, immediate return, is always we're all going to react immediately because that's how we are as humans. But we don't really know how much value you get out of these trades until we see these players come up to the major leagues and whether or not they perform. It's the same thing with signing guys in the draft. You said you liked the Caleb Ferguson return. Jeter Martinez, not great numbers this year in the minor leagues, but you say you like that return, only 19 years old, a starter in low A. What do you like about him?
It's an upside play, right? You're rolling the dice. It's a little bit of a lottery ticket. But he's the numbers don't look great, but he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. He's super young. He's really projectable. He's 6'4", already throws plenty hard. There's a lot. It's a little bit of a raw ball of clay kind of thing. And then we'll see, the Pirates, listen, they've done some good work in developing pitchers. And so to me, I think any return with upside for a guy like Caleb Ferguson, and I'm taking nothing away from, he threw great for the Pirates, probably pitched well for the Mariners, but he's a free agent at the end of the year. I think when you bring a Caleb Ferguson into your organization, into this organization, it's with the mind that, like, if things go well, we'll probably flip him at the trade deadline and try to get something in return. And we'll see. Jeter Martinez may end up in the bullpen too. We don't know whether the command will come, but there are ingredients there and an arsenal there. There's a lot to like with a ton of upside. So I think to get someone like that, who next year I'll put surgery further in his rearview mirror. He could take a big step forward next year, and everyone's going to be looking back at this trade and think, "Wow, we got a really nice arm out of this."
I want to talk about Evan Sisk. He's a guy who I just now heard about him from the Bailey Falter trade. You go look at the stats. Seems like a lefty who gets a lot of strikeouts. How does he get strikeouts? What type of pitcher is he?
Your guess is as good as mine, Steven. I found out about that trade 5 seconds before I came in. He's a bullpen guy. I honestly don't. I remember he's bounced around. I remember seeing him in the fall league few years ago, but he's 28 years old. So I don't
right.
really. If you told me that he was a Rule 5 pick once, maybe, is that right? But I may be making that up.
So I won't even ask about Moss.
Interesting day.
Yeah.
Well, no, Moss actually. So somebody told me about Moss. He's interesting.
He's got 70 RBI.
Let me see
That's impressive.
Let me see if I can find the notes. It's the you should see the Slack channel and the MLB pipeline.
I can only imagine.
It's just pure insanity. He played in the Appalachian League. Sort of just fun player. He's not going to be on the top 30. But he's sort of interesting guy that they kind of got from nowhere, and he can hit a little bit, but I don't have a ton of notes. But I remember my colleague Sam Dykstra, who does the Royals, he's called him the mayor of the Appalachian League, which makes me think he played in it more than once. But right?
He's just that. Yeah, maybe he's just that good with people.
I got to think that he repeated. It's sort of like you go to Altoona and Adam Heisdu is the forever king of Altoona because he was there for a long, long time. Yeah. So
he did. It looks like he did repeat. He did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and it's not a league you usually go to more than once. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was hurt. Is what it looks
right.
like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. We know you have a million things to do here, so we'll let you go. But thank you for joining us here on Bucs Bounty. We'll talk to you soon on the pregame show, I'm sure. But good to see you, man. Happy trade deadline day, even though it didn't go as well as you would have liked to see. It was a lot of fun having you. Thanks for talking to us.
They flipped Taylor Rogers, right at the end. Do you guys get that one?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
What do you got on
Taylor
Ivan?
Rogers, yep.
Ivan?
Who was it that got traded?
Is it Ivan?
In that trade?
We got Drago back.
Ivan
it sounds
Breathauer.
like. Yeah.
Oh, he, from Fresno?
Santa
Where
Barbara.
he went to college?
Yeah.
Santa Barbara. I knew it was
He
north.
went to Arizona State and Santa Barbara, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. He was
Anyway,
in my area of the
here,
draft.
Jonathan.
But yeah, we'll do that another time.
Yeah, beat it, nerd.
Yeah.
See
All
you,
right,
bud.
thanks, guys.
All right, go work.
Bye.
We'll talk to you soon. We'll come back on Bucs Bounty. We'll talk to Kevin Young. He'll be joining us when we come back here in just a few minutes on Bucs Bounty.
I'm thrilled. It's been a long time coming. It's been too long. If you look at the history of baseball, there really have been not that many five-tool players. Great players, Hall of Fame players, but there was something. Maybe not a great defender, maybe not a great arm, things like that, whatever it may be. Dave Parker did it all.
When you talk about Dave Parker, they didn't call him the Cobra for nothing. He was one of these guys that carried a 37-ounce bat, and he could really snap that bat. But he had all the tools, no doubt about that. I mean, he was just one of these guys that when he played one way. He played hard.
I think this is the final validation for an unbelievable career. A player that was respected by all opponents as well as his own teammates. He was just a wonderful, wonderful player, a dynamic player. Some players are really good, they're Hall of Famers, but their personalities are not so outgoing or bubbly or whatever you want to say, but Dave was one of those guys. Dave lit up a room when he came in the room, and he lit up a clubhouse.
He was, in my opinion, one of the best players in the history of the game, and certainly dominant. He did a lot in all phases of the game, and more than that, he was a leader. He was a leader. He was a winner. All of that checks the boxes for me, and the amount of time that he was able to do it to be a Hall of Famer.
Welcome back to Bucs Bounty, the Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. There's a lot of B's and P's when you do the intro to this show.
Ooh, it's like a BP.
Kevin Young will be joining us. There you go. SportsNet Pittsburgh analyst, color commentator for the Buccos. KY, thank you so much for joining us. Happy trade deadline day. It was an active one all around baseball. Some crazy trades. But let's just go to Buccos, man. I want to know, as somebody who's been around this organization for a long time, how you feel about not the returns necessarily, but just the emotional impact of trading BryanHayes and David Bednar to this away from this team.
Yeah, Stevie. I mean, you know as well as I do how much those two individuals in particular. I mean, they were obviously David Bednar coming over a little later, through a trade, but Bryan was one of those guys as a farm, hand. He came up in the organization, and so it was really, really tough to watch, him go. Obviously, you're talking about a Gold Glover as well, and so those are the type of guys that you're going to, your pitching staff misses, But then Bednar, what Bednar has meant, not only to the city, just being from Pittsburgh and embedding himself literally into the community, and has handled himself as a true professional throughout the entire time. Both of those guys, it's really tough if you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, because you just lost two really good individuals that really represented the ball club to a certain way, and you want the best for them. You go cheering for them as they continue to move into the next direction away from being a Bucco.
Hey, KY, real quick, what do you think about us trading for 3 first basemen?
I saw that.
Get
That
you
was
a little
interesting.
bit excited, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, it does because.
Woo.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot. We joked about in spring training. We had, 8 different guys over there in spring training with first baseman mitts on, but, a couple of guys are, catchers and first basemen. They play both of those positions. So obviously, both right-handed. So you have that transition guy, but what you're really looking for is one of those guys that just take some ownership, be able to do some things with a bat as a corner infielder. And you like to see those power numbers, if not necessarily the long ball, but definitely the run production. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. I mean, so much focus has been on, hitting the long ball. And sometimes, when you're in these smaller markets like that, unless you grow one up within your system, you have to acquire him with a trade or something of that nature. And you really hope that those type of guys can get that return to have the long ball. But more importantly, can you do the things that you need? Can you play a solid defense for a pitching staff that has just been unbelievable? That's why, the whole BryanHayes thing kind of, throws you back, because that pitching and defense are going to be the big keys to your success. So you definitely have to have a defensive first baseman over at that place if you're going to expect to actually win down the road. So hopefully, one of the many that we just acquired can step up to the challenge to be able to be an all-around player that you need him to be, both in the stick and with the big gloves as well.
So, KY, you talked about just there how pitching and defense is going to be the focus for this team. And I think we're all in agreement on that. And, seeing BryanHayes go is obviously a huge, huge blow to the defense on the left side. But I want to get into the pitching. You trade Bailey Falter, who has been really solid for the Pirates the last few years. And now you've got one rotation spot open. We were thinking there might be two. Turns out there's only just one. We got two guys who look like they'd be ready to take that spot. Bubba Chandler, who would be coming up from AAA, and Johan Oviedo, who'd be coming back from injury. Which one of those guys would you rather see getting that spot if it is one of those two?
Well, I'm going to tell you that when Johan Oviedo left, that was a big blow for that team. Everybody really anticipated. You're talking about a man with size. He actually attacks his zone. Obviously, what he brought to the table was big, so he can eat up some innings as well. So he's one that has some big league time. He's got some dirt under the spikes a little bit. He's competed, and he's coming, back off obviously the surgery, but he's one of those guys that you'd like to be able to count on. Slowly but surely get him back in the thing. Bubba is another really high, is a high prospect, you could say, but he hasn't done it at this level yet. You want to put him in a position where he can have some success. I think one of the things you mentioned, one of the two guys that were traded out that started rotation, the one that did not get traded, I thought was probably a big statement, and Mitch Keller. I thought that was huge, because when you look at our pitching staff, it is extremely young, as you guys both see it. It's nice to have young talent, but you need to have one of those guys that have been there and been through it a little bit, has went through some adversity himself. Mitch Keller is now the veteran of that staff, and regardless of how talented the young pitchers that you have, you really do need to have somewhat of an anchor, a guy that can eat up the innings, put quality starts together, and then carry himself in a certain way. So I think for that same reason is the reason why you have to be careful, I feel, with just going with so much young starting pitching. I was in a very similar situation in 93, where we had a ton of rookies, and a lot of them were young pitchers, and they came up. And so you have to, if you want to win, which obviously I'm assuming we all have been building this to win in the near future, really near future, taking your lumps as starting pitchers makes it really, really tough to do when you have two or three of them in a rotation. So for that reason, like I said, I would probably choose Oviedo, just because he's worked through this, he's been through it, and he has somewhat of the experience of doing it. But like I said, the game always will let you know, right, for it. It's just a matter of time. Yes. The game will show you the path. It's not like, we can think about all these things and, have some, our theories and concepts, but the game will always let you know.
Yeah, it always baked me a good piece of humble pie eventually.
Hey, it's 24/7.
Isn't that the truth? It's always telling you something. I want to talk about, we did double down. We got some more middle infielders. We got some first basemen and catchers. There's only so many at bats. And I want to kind of dig into your player development, understanding how do you find that balance? How do you communicate that to these kids? Because obviously they're getting traded. They felt stuck. Now they maybe feel wanted, but they may have to take a step back. They may have to go down a league or up a league? Because we have some good catching prospects. First base, maybe not so much, but how do you kind of balance this all out? Because, I mean, we really doubled down on that position, and we have guys, even thinking about Indy coming back, a guy that plays catcher and first base. How do you balance that out?
Yeah, I think, when you think about the managers and the coaches that we've had over the course of our careers, the ones that we really appreciated the most more than anything are the ones that communicated well. So that never changes and you're going through a situation like this where you may be on the depth chart that might look a little odd to you. You're used to being at a certain level, and all of a sudden now somebody's, but the communication through whether it be coordinators or, your farm director, whoever it is, and let them paint the picture out what the big picture really does look like. And then you honor that to a certain degree, because this is a competitive field. It's obviously something that, if these, 26 positions where everybody could have one, it'd be great. But I mean, you do have to earn that spot to be a major leaguer. It does look like something. And to that point, you have to give guys a necessary runway to be successful. I mean, it's so often that, you see so many guys and it's like, well, you need to know what you have. And the only way you can do that is by seeing them play at a certain level. And sometimes that could be in AA, it can be in AAA, or it can be a runway at the major league level, so you know what you have for the next coming year that you're anticipating winning. And so I think there's a number of things that really have to take place. But once you understand that you're in it and you're all in it together, you're all representing the Pirates, and we're trying to put the best team to impact Pittsburgh together and be consistent over the long haul. Now, once you communicate that, you just let the players do what they do. Go play baseball, and hopefully they can be the best version of themselves in the process. But communication has to be the number one thing. You have to be honest and forthright, and I think we all would appreciate that throughout our careers. We would see it, you appreciate it, and you can respect it.
Kevin Young joining us live here on Bucs Bounty, talking about trade deadline day. It's been a very intriguing day, KY. You got 6 trades that the Pirates make, but no huge return, right? Nobody that the Pirates got back that really the organization or the fan base is going to rally around. This is a different kind of trade deadline, and we're not going to be able to know how this trade deadline ends up looking until we see how guys end up performing. There's a lot of younger guys that we have received, but when it comes to the return for a guy like Bailey Falter, you get a left-handed reliever who's 28 years old and has a very little amount of time in the big leagues in Evan Sisk, but he has shown that he knows how to get strikeouts. I'm just curious what you think about what this has done to set up the Pirates in either the short-term or the long-term future. Has it improved? Has it declined? Is it any different? Or is this just kind of one of those trade deadlines where the Pirates were offloading salary, and now we're going to have to see what they do with that money when the offseason comes around?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you've done. You push the can down the road to the offseason ultimately, because if you were actually to look at it right now, you have to say we aren't better off now than we were, before the trade deadline. Obviously, BryanHayes and what he brought defensively. I mean, like you said, when you have your strength as the pitching staff and defense as your strength, that left side between, IKF playing short, which that's another one we have to deal with down the road, but. You need to find your shortstop, but now you have who's your shortstop for next year, who's your third baseman for next year, because that was a big plus for this ball club for the first 4 months of the season defensively on that side of the field. So, but at the end of the day, we can't ever get away from recognizing that we do have a talent that most will never have, which is Paul Skeens. You have that, and you have a window of opportunity to win in that process, and so. You like to think that 2026 looks like, okay, you need to put something together to win in 2026 because, you have control, over the next several years. You want to take advantage of it. What you don't want to do is push the can down the field or down the, whatever. And in 2 years from now, you're having guys that are, coming up to the major leagues because we've seen that. I mean, Pittsburgh Pirate fans have seen it. We hear about it because they talk to us about it. Like we can make things change, but unfortunately, it's not like that. And so, I think, that's the big thing. Ben Cherington had mentioned that, he's putting together something to win in 2026. So obviously that's not put together at this present time after the trade deadline. So you only have to anticipate something big happening in the offseason for that to come into fruition and be a realistic outcome, 2026 winning.
Awesome, man. KY, you're just so good you're so smart,
He just
man.
comes
You have
with it,
great
doesn't he?
insight.
Yeah.
I
Appreciate
know.
it.
It's just unbelievable.
It's the best.
Thank you for joining us, man. We really appreciate it. Weird trade deadline. But, when we kind of have to talk about this, we kind of go through, and this is going to be, like you said, it's one of those times we don't know what this trade is going to be, but the team is not better today than they were yesterday. And obviously that's an unfortunate thing, but it's what teams got to do when they're trying to build for next year. Thank you for joining us, KY, here on Bucs Bounty. When we come back, we're going to have a little bit more analysis. We're going to talk about the guys that didn't move and what that means for the Pirates when we come back here on Bucs Bounty. Welcome back to Unobstructed Views on SNP Plus.
And that's just true, unfiltered ball talk.
You're reacting to the game more than you even think you are.
You got him. Yeah, baby, let's go. We're going to have a few guests.
He's got his paycheck on the two-wheel cart.
We want to hear from you. Spunkos fan 21 asks, favorite thing playing at PNC Park?
I think if you're playing baseball in heaven, it may be like PNC.
At SNP Pittsburgh, hashtag SNP Views.
Exclusive interviews.
It was all that and more.
Insights.
He's doing everything right now.
And game previews.
Guys that are great can channel that.
Pirates Game Day Live, 30 minutes before every game on SportsNet Pittsburgh. Presented by Allegheny Health Network. No one destroys a baseball like Oneil Cruz.
That is the hardest hit ball in known Major League history.
Pitchers should consider themselves warned.
And it is gone! There's a cruise missile!
Log in with your cable provider and stream the Pirates all season long on SNP 360.
Welcome back to Bucs Bounty. It is 47 minutes past trade deadline, and the Pirates made 6 trades, but they didn't trade a good amount of guys that we thought they were going to. Bailey Falter, a little bit more of a surprise. Guys like Keller not going. I mean, I'm glad Keller didn't go. To me, that's it shows a lot about what we're actually hoping to compete in 2026. Santana. Reynolds goes nowhere. Cruz was talked about a little bit, but I don't think he was ever going to go. But the big names that aren't going anywhere, that that have been actually pretty good for the Pirates this year, but we're not going to be able to see young guys maybe get as many reps as we thought, because we're not trading away Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Tommy Pham, and Andrew Heaney. Michael, kind of interesting to see all these guys still here on rentals that are going to be gone next year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange. I'm sure they were shopping them and didn't get the return that they wanted. Pham really surprises me. IKF, obviously, he's an asset to any team, but as good as Tommy Pham's been over the last little bit, and he's been traded, I think, 78 times. So it was a surprise to not see him go. And he's been in the playoffs so much. So that was a big surprise. Santana is a huge surprise for me. I know he's not a free agent of the year. We have one more year of control. But trading Bednar, I thought Santana was the next guy out. So, yeah, there's a lot of surprises. But the fact we made 6 moves, it's definitely a heavier hand than we've had over the last couple of years. I think it made a statement that we're trying to be active, trying to do things different. And I hope it all works out. I really do, for all parties, especially for the Buccos.
We just talked to Kevin Young, and he brought up a really good point that the team is, no matter what you're looking forward to in the long-term future, in the short-term future, right now, this season, the team is definitely not as good as they were yesterday. You're losing the Gold Glove in BryanHayes, and then you're losing one of the best closers in baseball in David Bednar, and we don't know what that return is going to look like yet, because really probably none of those guys are going to be in the big leagues yet. Maybe you see Evan Sisk coming because he's a left-handed reliever who has a little bit of time with the big leagues with the Royals this year. But other than that, you're not going to see any of these guys come up to the big leagues. That part for me hurts a little bit. I was hoping to see maybe something get injected into the Pirates lineup, young talent, something like that coming back from the David Bednar trade. You get a young guy who you're hoping is going to be a power hitting catcher or first baseman in the near future, right-handed hitter, big guy in Rafael Flores, but we don't know that yet until we see him next year. So far in AAA this year, he hasn't done well, but he's only played in 10 games. He's at 211. But in AA this year, he did do really well. And so it is interesting because immediately when you look at the trade, you don't see a top 5 prospect. You don't even see a top 100 prospect in baseball. And I think that's what we were all assuming was going to be coming back in that Bednar trade. Does the prospect not having that same prospect pedigree make that much of a difference? Or, does it make it hurt more than maybe it actually should, because maybe he is actually a really good player?
Well, I think you're talking about moving the needle, right? And by all aspects, if we got a top 100 prospect, even if he was 99, it probably put us in that top 3 range, right? Because we have 1, we have 5, and then you think about the other guys that are in that top 100, we would look different. And just by adding one dude, it would have made a difference throughout baseball, and it would have been loud. And that's what I'm with you. I assumed David Bednar would have, netted that return. Instead, we got 3 guys. Maybe one of them sneaks in. Who knows? Only time will tell. But you're right. Like I think it's a tougher pill to swallow. Losing a Pittsburgh or a Yinzer, the Renegade staple. It's been so good, and not get a bigger splash. It is tough to swallow. It really is.
It seemed like an underwhelming, however, very active trade deadline for the Pirates,
100.
and all of Major League Baseball was extremely active. But to me, it doesn't feel like I don't see the improvements just yet. I think that what needs to happen is you need to see what happens with the money that the Pirates got, and that they're going to be saving in trading these guys away over the next, let's say, 4 years, because Bednar would have been pretty expensive very soon. And BryanHayes was pretty expensive for what he was, just not having that offense over at third base. But I do find it pretty interesting that we didn't try to get an offensive-minded third baseman. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is. And maybe to your point, maybe that's why they got the first baseman. Maybe they see, really good feet and a good arm that happens to be at, first base. I would assume those catchers have good arms. The one catcher's ginormous. The headliner, he's 6'4", 230 or something. So maybe not him, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to think. And also you have all these shortstop prospects and guys that are going to need a position. Somebody's going to have to play third. And, usually when you shift a shortstop over, their defense plays really well. They got to learn some new reads, some drop steps, different things like that. But yeah, it is really interesting. I thought that'd be something that maybe they get in return. I also thought maybe they would get a starter of some sort. Seems like all the arms we got were bullpen arms. Whether it's now or in the future, it seems like where Mayo was talking about, most of these guys probably trend to go into the bullpen, which I'm fine with. I love high upside arms with ticket punching in their capabilities. But Steven, it is different. And I'm very interested to see between now, end of the year, and going into the off season, we can't be done. You know what I mean? There's got to be more going on, more thoughts, because there's holes. There's things that they got to fill. But my favorite part about this time, and I want to get your opinion on this, is who fills those holes. Who do they rely on? Who do they give opportunity to? Because you will find out a lot. I mean, if it's a revolving door, it stinks. Nobody gets comfortable. But maybe they give Nick York and say, hey, bro, it's yours. Go lose it. I'd love to see a couple of those things happen because that's what we haven't seen. You know, like Henry Davis, you're our everyday guy. Bart, you're our backup now. Go. Like, let's just see commitment and that communication that Kayla was talking about. I think that would be fun because then it would be like, hey, we know who's playing. We know the plan. We know where it's going possibly. And then we could really see the holes. But if not, it's kind of like, well, maybe he could have sort of, kind of.
You know, I will say this. Yeah, for me overall, the deadline is underwhelming. I'm not a huge fan of it. I wish that there
100.
had been a little bit more, return on some of these moves. Or, if you were going to make 6 moves, maybe make 7 and make a one really big, splash of a move. But if that's not going to be the case, I will give a silver lining. All right, because I'm a silver lining guy. You know me.
We are.
I'm going to
Let's
say
go.
this. The Pirates did not get rid of their strengths, if that makes sense. They while they take away one starting pitcher, it's not one of those top guys. It's Bailey Falter, who's been really good, but we have guys ready to replace him who we believe will be better, right? So you're not
Yes.
losing that. In the bullpen, you lose David Bednar, which is a huge bummer. But if you remember, last year, the Pirates bullpen had to figure it out without David Bednar because he wasn't himself. And so now you're going to be able to fill that bullpen. Santana, I assume, goes to the closer role. And then I'll give my prediction for the infield, in which I don't think you're any worse, is putting Peguero at shortstop every day, IKF at third base every day, and Gonzalez at second base every day. And I think you may actually be better offensively if Peguero can keep up what he's done in these first 3 days. So you didn't lose any of the strengths that the Pirates are going to have to lean on going into next season. The problem is they didn't add to their weaknesses. That's the only issue that I have. And so, like you said, the only way that I'm going to be able to rate this trade deadline, as we got about a minute and a half left here, is just to say I'm bummed because we didn't improve the team by filling weaknesses, but I also appreciate that we haven't destroyed the team and that it looks like we genuinely are trying to compete in 2026, and we're just going to have to wait and see how the offseason goes.
I completely agree in every facet. I do think Bednar's unbelievably unreplaceable. Even it's more the less of who he is. But that regardless, you're right. Baseball wise, you can replace him. They had to do it last year. But yeah, like I think now is the time to figure out what's the vision. How do we win next year? And I think the next couple months is really going to maybe paint that picture for us and paint that picture for the fans. They can't miss that mark because regardless of how this all turns out, it's going to take some time. What are we going to do in that interim to make sure that fans know, hey, we're going for this. We're trying to win with our guys, and it's going to be pitching and defense.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this special live edition of Bucs Bounty Trade Deadline Day edition. The Pirates make 6 moves. They lose Adam Frazier, BryanHayes, Caleb Ferguson, David Bednar, Bailey Falter, and Taylor Rogers, who we didn't actually ever have. But it has been a very active deadline. We'll see how everything pans out. Michael, thank you for joining us. It was fun. Pirates off day today. Get to play against the Rockies the next 3 days. Hopefully those games go well. But thank you very much for joining us here on Bucs Bounty, and we will see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. Michael McKenry, Stephen Brault. We'll see you next week here on Bucs Bounty.